Hey everyone, welcome back. Today, the Willpower Cup has arrived in the Go Battle League, and with it comes a very unique meta. In a meta like this, I love to get some use out of my shiny extra small Pawniard here. It's one of my favorite Pokemon that I have, and it is a fantastic core breaker in this meta. If you want to see my gameplay live, I stream basically every day at twitch.tv/ItsAXN starting 5:30 Pacific, 8:30 Eastern. I'd love to see you there. And I'm also going to mention right before we get into the battles that I have updated a few of the graphics on screen. Gameplay is a little bit bigger. I've also made it so the team graphic on the side is a bit more in theme, so I hope it is going to improve the viewer experience. So let's get into the battles and see what this team can do. All right, getting right on into game number one. Here we have Mandibuzz in the lead up against a Shadow Drapion. This is a very neutral matchup. I have Air Slash, which is going to help us out a little bit. Normally you see Mandibuzz with Crunch, but this opposing Shadow Drapion here is going to have a very unique fast move of Ice Fang. That super effective shadow damage is doing so much damage for our Mandibuzz. I'm probably going to have to swap out here. I don't want to take that much damage on our Mandibuzz, and this is exactly what our opponent would have wanted. We're going to come in with our Quillfish, try to CMP with this Aqua Tail here, and get as much damage as we can. We're running Air Slash Mandibuzz, we're running Poison Jab on this Quillfish, so there's a lot of unique movesets going on in this meta. I have to shield up this Aqua Tail. I know it wouldn't one-shot us from this point, but it would basically knock us, or it wouldn't knock us out, but it put us into fast move farm down range, which I do not want to be in. I want to keep my Quillfish alive because our Mandibuzz has already been chipped down. Our Quillfish is already pretty low. I need to keep some health on something here. In comes their next Pokemon. It's going to be a Mandibuzz, so we do have to throw a charge move against this. I'm going to bait the fact that I have Ice Beam. I do have Ice Beam, but I'm going to throw the Aqua Tail here. They no-shield it. That's so unfortunate for us, but I'm going to go for the Ice Beam once again. This time, I'm going to just full send it. Hopefully they no-shield like they did that first time, but knowing my opponents, they're always going to shield the nuke and no-shield the bait. That's just how it goes sometimes. Luckily, though, Pawniard can absorb all of the energy from Mandibuzz. That's kind of the best thing about it. Mandibuzz is one of the most common picks in the meta. You're going to be able to absorb all of the flying and dark type pressure that they're going to have. In the back, we're going to see a Shadow Gallade. Very interesting Pokemon. Looks like it's running Charm as their fast move here, not a Psycho Cut variant here, which is going to do so much fast move pressure against not only our Mandibuzz, but you saw how much damage those Charms were doing to our Pawniard. It's kind of crazy. I have to take the risk that we're not at 1 HP here. I need this Aerial Ace to land. Luckily, Mandibuzz does survive that charge move, and now we're going to be able to throw this Aerial Ace against this Gallade, hopefully knock them out here, and now Pawniard should be able to close out this backline against their Mandibuzz. They're likely going to get another charge move off against us, but as I said, we resist every single move they could have. Even if they have Shadow Ball, Dark Pulse, Foul Play, it doesn't matter what moveset they're running, we resist every single charge move from this Mandibuzz. So we can easily survive this, even though shields are down and Pawniard is kind of squishy. All I need to do is I need to get to another X-Scissor here, knock out this Mandibuzz, and take them out with our small little guy here. This gave GG's to our opponent. Very unique movesets on both sides, but luckily Pawniard will be able to close this one out eventually here if the game lets us. There we go. GG's to them. All right, Pawniard, good showing game number one. Hopefully you can keep it up here in the next couple of games. Next matchup, well, speaking of Pawniard, our opponent seems like they have figured out the secret sauce as well. We're going to safe swap our own Pawniard. I don't like doing this. I don't recommend doing it either because there's a lot of Claydolls. I've seen some fighters in the meta as well, so it's not really a safe swap, but like what else am I going to swap into? We actually do call a Night Slash bait, which is massive. By calling that, now we're in the driver's seat in this mirror match. We can go for the X-Scissor here. We land it as well. So now they're in Night Slash range. We can throw the Night Slash, try to knock them out. I think that was actually CMP as well. So as long as they no shield, we're going to knock out this Pawniard and take switch advantage. And we have Pawniard advantage. We still have our Pawniard and they don't, which is a massive thing here. They try to farm us down with, it looks like, a Galarian Moltres. I'm thinking there's a chance there could be their own Mandibuzz in the back, or maybe it's just something else like a Poison Dark type. So I want to keep alignment here if I can. I know that Quillfish should be able to come in, do a lot of Poison Jab damage, go for Aqua Tails, maybe even bait Ice Beams if I need to, and take out this Galarian Moltres. I know they're probably just going to go straight Ancient Power here, but I know the safest play is just double shield, farm them all the way down, or at least get to an Aqua Tail and knock them out that way. But they actually get an Ancient Power boost, a very low chance of getting that, but their attack and defense have both been raised now, which means I have to take out this Moltres as soon as I can. Aqua Tail will be thrown, but I don't think it's going to be enough to knock out after that defense boost that they had here, but it's going to put them into Poison Jab down range. We have an Aqua Tail loaded. What is their final Pokemon? I guess we'll never know. GG's to our opponent. Looks like that. Next opponent here, though, would dodge one of the best battlers in the world. This is going to be a very close battle, especially with this Shadow Gardevoir in the lead. I'm going to safe swap my Quillfish, and we end up baiting out the Annihilate. Now, this isn't a great matchup to be in right now, but we have to look for the future. We made it so we're not going to see this with our Pawniard, and now with these Aqua Tails landing against this Annihilate, Annihilate, I'm going to be able to either strip shields down or maybe get some sort of damage into this thing. It looks like we did get a shield with our first attack there. Rage Fist will be no shielded. Luckily, that does not knock us out because it's resisted ghost type damage against our dark type Pokemon. We have another Aqua Tail to throw. This puts him in a much easier farm down range for our Mandibuzz, but honestly, maybe I should have undercharged that to get even more farm on Mandy because I'm going to have to shield anyway. Very likely this is going to be a boosted close combat. I need to make sure that my Mandibuzz is still kind of healthy because despite the fact that Gardevoir is not a great matchup, as you'll see, they're still going to have to respect the damage because Shadow Gardevoir is extremely squishy. If they no-shield this move, they're basically going to get knocked out by just this charge attack here. If they do shield it up, then I guess we'll have to see what we're going to do with Pawniard. They end up doing some charm damage here before swapping out to their Mandibuzz. 3 charms, basically half-healthed our poor little Pawniard here. We're obviously a Dark-type Pokemon and a Steel-type Pokemon, which means that it kind of balances out. We only take neutral damage from those charms, but because of how squishy we are, it basically looks like it's super effective. We do have a lot of X scissor damage, once again, to throw against this Mandibuzz, but we are in a very tight spot at this point. I can't shield this move. I know Gardevoir has some energy on it, so I need to make sure I keep my shield for that. And now we're going to be almost in range where we get Air Slash down. I think we might just barely survive this move, get off this X scissor, and now our Mandibuzz has a lot of work to do. I need to be able to get to an Aerial Ace against this Gardevoir when it comes back in. Looks like it is brought back in almost immediately. We are so low at this point. I need to survive an Aerial Ace from the opposing Mandibuzz, get 2 more Air Slashes, and then maybe some Fury Cutters. That is the only way I can win this game. This Aerial Ace will come through. It is enough to knock out the Shadow Gardevoir. In comes a charge move from this Mandibuzz. It's going to be very close if I survive this. Mandibuzz hangs on with 1 HP. We get the 2 Aerial Aces through, or Air Slashes rather, and then we go for the Fury Cutter down, just barely overcoming the charm lead there with that Shadow Gardevoir. GG's to our opponent. Next game here up against the Annihilate. Very, very good lead for us. Our backline does not want anything to do with this, as we've been talking about, and this is likely going to be a close combat. It could be an Ice Punch as well. I'm going to no-shield it, though. I can't really go down shields with how squishy my backline is. Looks like it is an Ice Punch, which does a lot of damage. In the backline comes a Shadow Drapion, and we respond with our Pawniard. Now, in the moment, I thought this was a good play. Pawniard, you might expect, would be a hard answer to this Poison-type Pokemon. We take no fast move pressure, but with how quickly they get to these Aqua Tails, I think that maybe I should have stripped them down or something with Mandibuzz. This is just looking so awkward at this point because they've already got us into range where the next Aqua Tail will probably knock us out, or at least put us into Poison Sting down range. I don't know if I can reach this Night Slash after no-shielding that move. Pawniard goes down to the Poison-type Pokemon here. That is absolutely embarrassing. Poor little guy did not stand a chance, but now we're going to have to try our best with Mandibuzz to absorb the energy and hope that our Quillfish can still make something happen in the backline. We have a lot of energy, right? We have 1 Aerial Ace that we're going to throw against this Shadow Drapion. We also have another one for the backline, whatever is going to come in here. Looks like it's going to be another Poison Dark type, looks like a Skuntank. There's so many different Poison Dark types that can be in this meta. I'm using a Quillfish, my opponent is using the Skuntank and a Shadow Drapion. I've also seen like the Alolan Grimers as well. I can see Overquill maybe being a play as well. So there's just so many different ones to choose from, but our opponent choosing for the Skuntank, which has so many different coverage options. I don't think those coverage options are going to matter here, though. This Annihilate, I think, can just counter through us and make it so all they need to do is fast move us down this entire game. This is looking incredibly awkward here. Our opponent not even opting to throw another charge move. They're just going to go all fast move pressure, farm us all the way down with this, farm us down against our Mandibuzz. I think they might have us here. It's so unfortunate to say. But yeah, they have another charge move, they could get a shield, and now that Skuntank either can farm us down or throw a charge move and knock us out. So despite a great lead for us, not being able to keep switch advantage with our Pawniard against that Shadow Drapion is a little bit unfortunate. I guess now we know in futures matchups that Pawniard needs a little bit more help in the Shadow Drapion matchup than that. It would probably dominate the Shadow Skuntank, or the non-Shadow Skuntank even, but not against the poor Shadow Drapion. Alright, looks like this next game up against Caleb Pang, the one and only, a content creator, a fellow content creator here, running another Air Slash Mandibuzz in the lead. This is a bit of an awkward matchup, because I know a lot of the time they're going to be weak to Mandibuzz in the back, and I'm going to try to catch a move here. We don't quite get the catch successfully, but we still have him throw energy before swapping out, so I'm thinking Pawniard might be pretty strong into their team. In the back, we see a Shadow Drapion. That is going to be not exactly the hardest answer here to our Pawniard. After that last battle, I know exactly how much damage a Shadow Aqua Tail is going to do. We survived that. I can probably reach 2 charge moves against this thing and either get a shield or maybe 2 shields or maybe just a lot of damage against this. We'll see what our opponent does. They let the first one go. I can get another X scissor off, which is either going to knock them out or draw a shield from this thing. If they shield, I have energy on Mandibuzz. If they no shield, then I guess we'll see what we can do this game. We try to snipe them down with Mandibuzz here. Are they going to shield this, or are they just going to let all of their energy go on their Shadow Drapion? They let it go, and it is enough to knock out. I think they were banking on the fact that might be enough damage, or might not be enough damage to knock them out there. Luckily, though, Mandibuzz was just barely able to take up that knockout there, and now their own Mandibuzz does come back in. This is going to be an interesting matchup, because I don't know what their third Pokemon could be at this point. Could be another dark poison type, could be basically anything though. Mandibuzz is a very flexible Pokemon. They could have anything in the back. I'm going to go for another Aerialise here. I always like to keep a little bit of energy because if there is something in the back I need the energy for very soon, then I need to make sure my Mandibuzz is going to be able to throw it against them. They catch on their own Pawniard. Okay, I guess I'm not the only one thinking about this Pokemon right now. Even Caleb Ping's using Pawniard here today, so a very interesting Pokemon. I guess I'm onto something here, right? Maybe. We're going to no-shield this. Hope that they are going to go for the Night Sash because I feel like that is such an obvious bait at that point. They're going to have to try to outpace us somehow, and it looks like we do properly call that move. They're not in range where I can knock them out with an Aqua Tail. We've seen how much damage a Shadow Aqua Tail can do from a Drapion, but this is not a Shadow Quillfish, right? This is just a regular Quillfish. They can probably survive this pretty decently, but it will still put them into fast move farm down range, where they're going to be in the range where we can kind of just deal with them with our own Mandibuzz, with our Quillfish, and with our own Pawniard that has a little bit of health left over. Now that they actually ended up shielding that move too, I can see another win condition. I can just land a charge move against the Pawniard if I need to knock them out. We can just take all of the energy here with our Quillfish, farm them down with Mandibuzz, and then we should be able to get to an Aerialise against that little guy later on in this game. We get a couple air slashes through. We are able to get a lot of energy, but we are, I think, 1 or 2 away from this Aerialise. Luckily, the Pawniard swapped out with almost no energy on it. We knock out this Pawniard with this Aerialise, and we can take the win against almost a mirror team. They had a different Dark Poison type than us, but basically the same idea. So GG's to Caleb Pang. Very fun match. It looks like this next matchup here is against the Claydol in the lead. Fantastic lead for us. They safe swap a Galarian Moltres. I can only imagine it's going to be a Mandibuzz in the back. They're going to have double Dark Flyers. And what we want to do is we want to keep switch advantage at all costs. I don't want my Pawniard up against that Claydol, and I want to keep my Mandibuzz where it's at. I know that Mandibuzz into Mandibuzz wouldn't be that bad later on, but keeping switch would be huge. I'm just going to throw the straight up Ice Beam here. I know I can outpace to Aqua Tail, even if they do shield this up, which they don't. Fantastic no shield for us there, because now we can probably reach an Ice Beam against this Claydol, and maybe draw a shield back from them. They do end up fully farming us down, which could be a little bit tricky depending on their moveset. I've seen Rock Tomb, I've seen Ice Beam. Claydol has so many different moves, it's hard to really know what they're going to run. I'm going to come back in Mandibuzz though, 100%. I know that no matter the moveset, Mandibuzz is still one of the best walls to it in the game. In comes a charge move. I'm expecting Ice Beam here. I think that's the most common coverage move I've seen. Yeah, not quite going to be enough to two-shot us from our current health range, and we see the final Pokemon here is the Mandibuzz. Once again, as I was saying, we have Pawniard for this, but this is not the hardest counter in the world just because of how much damage we're taking from these air slashes. Despite being resisted, it is doing a lot of damage due to how squishy we are as a Pawniard. We're also doing a lot of non-stab damage with Fury Cutter and also with X-Scissor, so we're going to try to spam out these moves and chip it down as much as possible, but the way that we lose this game is if we give that Claydol a massive farm down. They have a lot of energy to go against Mandibuzz, so I want to make sure that we get our health as low as possible before knocking out this Mandibuzz. They can throw another move here if they want to. I actually did get to the X-Scissor there. I probably should have thrown that. I didn't realize my X-Scissor counts, I guess, with my Pawniard. A little bit of a mistake by me, but that move still does put them pretty low. In comes the Claydol once again, and now as long as we shield up their next Ice Beam here, we should be in a good spot. I think the way we actually end up losing this game, if it's even possible, is if they end up shielding that Dark Pulse there, and they get a Scorching Sands bait, and they get the debuff on it, and then somehow they get to an Ice Beam. Like, that'd be their best chance. Looks like that's actually what they're going for here. They didn't get the debuff, though, and they also didn't shield before my Dark Pulse ended, so they didn't give themselves any chance to win that matchup there. But Claydol, honestly, putting in some work against our Mandibuzz. Oh my goodness, that's a terrible lead. That's a Galarian Rapidash. We have a safe swap known as Quillfish. It's going to try its best here, but it's met by the Mud Slapper. Claydol is not what you want to see, but at least we baited this out so our Pawniard doesn't have to deal with this. And once this is out of the way, I'm really hoping Pawniard's going to be able to core break whatever is in the back. We reach that first Aqua Tail there. They throw on alignment to throw this move. I could have thrown my Aqua Tail on alignment as well, but if I gave that Mud Slap Sneak, that could be pretty bad for us. We go for the Ice Beam, guarantee the knockout. It does do a little bit more raw damage to this Claydol than we'd be doing with that Aqua Tail, so we do draw that shield back. And now, even though we're in a bit of a tricky spot, I know that Galarian Rapidash is pretty squishy, and I'm hoping that Mandibuzz, if I have enough energy, can still do a decent amount of damage to it. What move are they going to throw against us? Scorching Sands. Why would they Scorching Sands? It's there. Maybe they're running Shadow Ball. I've seen a couple Claydols running Shadow Ball as well. So maybe this one just has no charge move pressure against us whatsoever. In comes that Galarian Rapidash once again. We have the Dark Pulse ready for it at this point. It's going to do a massive amount of damage. And they end up no-shielding that too. No way. Okay, we can go for the Aerialise here, draw a shield from this, and now our Pawniard is looking even better in the back than it was a second ago. We see them shield that move up as well, and now we Aerialise them all the way down, or Air Slash them all the way down, rather. Yeah, okay. That was a very bad spot to be in up until the last second there, where I guess we somehow won that one. All right, well, speaking of somehow being in a matchup, that's a Chestnut. I don't really know what Chestnut beats in this meta, but a little bit of a good lead for me there, obviously, as the Air Slash user. In comes the Shadow Drapion safe swap. We've seen that we don't have the hardest counter in the back with our Pawniard, but knowing that we don't really need switch here, I'm totally fine just dumping energy against this with our Pawniard, taking shield advantage. I don't need switch advantage. That's what our Quillfish and our Mandibuzz are good at against that Chestnut, so we can kind of just win this matchup or lose it. I don't really care. We'll play it by ear, seeing what they're going to want to do. Exeter will draw the first shield from them. Unfortunately, they do end up throwing the Aqua Tail right before my next one. And at this point, I'm going to match at least one shield. If I can get both shields down from them, I'm in a pretty good spot. And it's not like that Chestnut really has a good matchup here into my my Pawniard, right? Chestnut is throwing Grass-type damage as its charge move. It would have to throw a superpower to knock me out. So I'm kind of fine just trying to play the game here, make them throw two moves against me to knock me out as this Pawniard, and then I can throw the Aerial Ace with my Mandibuzz. This probably won't knock them out, but it'll put them into range where one Aerial Ace will be able to knock them out. Dude, I keep saying Aerial Ace. No, it's Air Slash. Air Slash Aerial Ace. It's a very hard move to remember. You don't normally run this. You normally run Snarl. But yeah, Aerial Ace is going to be the charge move. Air Slash, the fast move, able to knock them out. And in comes a Galarian Moltres. In the back, we have the Core Breaker here. We have the Quillfish able to knock out the Chestnut, and Amanda Buzz or Moltres, they top left GGs to them. The Shadow Drapion in the lead, not exactly my favorite lead matchup, mainly because I need to try to bait out either a Claydol or Annihilate in the back. If they have either one of those Pokemon, we just kind of get swept if we don't. So I come in Quillfish. They're staying in this matchup though, so I'm kind of guessing at this point they don't have either one of those Pokemon. And since they're staying in so long, I'm going to throw the Aqua Tail here, try to chip them down, or maybe draw shields from this thing. Let's see what they're going to do. They actually end up shielding the Aqua Tail, which is fantastic news for us. If they shield, I'm going to shield at this point. I know that I want to match shields here, keep our Quillfish alive, because it seems like it's putting in a little bit of work against their team. In comes our own Raticate here. That's an interesting Pokemon to see in this meta. Luckily, I think our switch clock is almost up, and this is a normal and dark type Pokemon. Pawniard would love to be matched up against this. They have no moves that can do anything more than resisted damage, and I know that Pawniard can do so much with both Fury Cutter and X-Scissor against this dark type Pokemon. Crunch does come through, and even though we do resist that damage, it does almost put us down to half health, so I want to knock this thing out before they get to the next Crunch. I'm going to throw this against them on CMP, and they let that go. All right, what did they come in with here? We've seen the Shadow Drapion, we've seen Eradicate, they come back in Shadow Drapion, so we don't know what their third Pokemon is just yet, but we can probably guess it's weak to Pawniard. With that said, we know Shadow Drapion also does outpace us so heavily. I can't really shield this move. They make a catch on a Mandibuzz, though. Okay, well, even though that was a pretty nice catch, I'm pretty happy to get this move off, because that is going to put them into range where my own Mandibuzz can now just always win this mirror match. This is going to be a bit of a long-winded mirror, obviously, but since we both have Air Slash as our fast move, we're able to do a lot more neutral damage than we would if we were both running Snarl, like you normally see in these Mandibuzz matchups. We're going to keep on over-farming here, just in case that Shadow Drapion comes back in. We see that they win CMP, which normally that would be a big deal, but since we got that chip damage off against them earlier, I'm not quite as concerned about that. Our own Aerial Ace coming through, it is going to chip them down a little bit, but honestly, it's going to do almost nothing. It's going to take so long to get through the rest of this health, and now we're going to have to see if that Shadow Drapion ever comes back in. I do have my Quillfish, right? It has a charge move loaded, and I still have my Pawniard if I need to get a little bit of extra fast move pressure or use it as a catch. Aerial Ace doesn't quite knock us out there. A bit of a tongue twister here. Aerial Ace, Air Slash, but Aerial Ace of our own coming through once again, not knocking them out just yet, but able to put them very low. They kind of have to no-shield this. They know I have that Aqua Tail loaded, and they know that they no-shield there. Very smart play by them. And now I'm just going to have to commit to fast moves to knock out the Shadow Drapion, and then if I can knock this out with fast moves, throw the charge moves against that Mandibuzz, hopefully winning this game. We do end up throwing this Aerial Ace actually at the last second here, because I know if they don't shield this, then we can just commit to fast moves against that Mandibuzz as well. They're not quite at a move yet, so I can come in Quillfish, just Poison Jab them down and take the match that way. GG's to our opponent. 3-ball flex actually against them, just barely surviving on all three Pokemon there. Our next game against the Shadow Drapion, we just saw this. We're going to come in Quillfish and see how they're going to play this out. I do like having Poison Jab fast move pressure, as I was saying. It makes it so I can kind of not really one-shot them, obviously, with the Aqua Tail, but the Aqua Tail plus the fast move pressure does put them pretty low pretty quickly. They are staying in here. Once again, though, it seems like a lot of opponents don't really have an answer to our Quillfish safe swap. I'm going to shield. If they're staying in this long, I think that means that my Quillfish could be pretty important for us. I'm going to throw the Aqua Tail at this point. They're getting close to their third move, so I need to start throwing something. I wanted to see if they're going to swap out before I threw energy, but since they are staying in here now, I'm going to double throw Aqua Tail and see how they're going to play it out. Do they shield this up, or are they just content with shield advantage? No, they want to shield up. They want to keep their Shadow Drapion still alive, and now I am in a position where do I want to go down shields completely, or do I want to keep on going for having shields for our Pawniard? Looks like I do end up shielding that. In comes a Malamar in the backline. This is tricky. I'm going to come in Pawniard, but we know what moveset this thing probably has. Even though we have super effective Fury Cutters here, we all know it's going to have access to superpower. They can one-shot us at any moment, whenever they want to, and this is not going to be pretty. Our poor little guy is going to get one shot here by this Malamar. We did a lot of damage, though, just with fast moves, and also with that Exorcism that we threw. We drew the last shield, and now we try to air slash down, because they did debuff themselves with that superpower. All right, this is going to be a tricky endgame, though. We haven't seen their third. We're getting tripped down with Mandibuzz, and now in comes their Shadow Drapion. Hopefully we have enough play with our backline here that we can still win this matchup, but I don't know what it could be in the back. Maybe it's their own Mandibuzz. I could see that. I've seen a lot of teams like Triple Dark. I mean, I'm running Triple Dark, but it is, okay, it's another Dark type, but that's not one I wanted to see. The Shadow Sableye. Normally, you'd see Mandibuzz into this matchup and you say, oh, that's good, it's a ghost type. But Power Gem recently did get that buff. This thing is going to one-shot us. All of our remaining health is just going to go away, and our Mandibuzz is not very happy to see this Pokemon. And even though we do have Quillfish around that can probably get to the Aqua Tail here, we've taken so much fast move pressure. I don't know if we can Poison Jab the Malamar down before they're going to be able to Psywave us down. It's going to be a race to the finish. Can we do it? Just barely one Poison Jab away from winning that game, but GG's to our opponent. Malamar is a very cool pick in this meta. All right, another Claydol lead. It's been a bit since we've actually had a good lead here, but they are staying in for a second. That is such a strange move. This is not a matchup you want to stay in if you can help it, but they try to catch a move, so that makes sense, right? They wanted to build up energy. They're trying to catch a move on their Mandibuzz, but we have Pawniard to respond with this, absorb all of the energy here, and keep switch advantage at all costs, because I know I don't want anything to do with that Mud Slapper against our Quillfish. I have a bit of frame drops there, unfortunately, but we still throw on good timing. X-Scissor will come through, start chipping down this Mandibuzz, and we'll see if they want to start shielding their way through this matchup, if they even can. I honestly haven't really seen any Mandibuzz do that just yet, so we'll see if they land another move. Can they start shielding and farm us all the way down? Well, not if they throw Aerial Ace. If that was a Dark Pulse, there's a chance they might have been able to flip that if they wanted to go down shields, but we are at another X-Scissor. We're almost at another one here as well, so we can throw the move at the last second, and maybe even go for the Night Slash at this point with how low they are. Yeah, Night Slash will be reached. It's going to do a lot of damage, probably even knock them out at this point, or draw their final shield, or their first shield, rather. We get the boost there too. Okay, I'm expecting right now that the Claydol is going to come in and try to combo play us. I know I could farm this down, but I'm going to call the combo play. Unfortunately, though, it does not quite happen. I could have farmed down this Mandibuzz, probably got this Night Slash against that Claydol, but I mean, either way, I didn't want to get sniped down if I could help it, so I'm just going to be safe, knock out the Mandibuzz, and keep switch advantage for a Mandibuzz against this Claydol. What move are they going to throw against us? Probably an Ice Beam here, right? Yeah, another Ice Beam user, and now we are going to see their final Pokemon is a Guzzlord. Not exactly the Pokemon I want to see, but luckily since we're running Poison Sting as our fast move, or Poison Jab rather, over Poison Sting, we have a lot more fast move pressure, which is going to do so much damage over time to this Guzzlord, and I'm going to bait the fact that I have Ice Beam. I mean, I do have it, but I can't really throw it here because I think I need to just go for double Aqua Tail, despite the fact that it's resisted damage, to make sure I put them into Aerial Ace range for our Mandibuzz. I know Claydol's not really that big of a threat for me at this point, and I've done what I needed to do with our Quillfish. I've chipped down this Guzzlord, and now we'll see how they want to play out this matchup. They threw all of their energy on that Claydol, so we're not quite at another move yet. I come in Mandibuzz here, overfarm as much as possible, and they make a nice catch on their Claydol. With that said, I think I did need an Ace plus a Dark Pulse here to knock them out, so despite the fact that they catch, I'm still... I probably still have to throw that energy, right? We're going to overfarm a little bit here just to make sure I have the energy for this Guzzlord, because I know Guzzlord, even though it probably doesn't knock us out just yet with a fast move and a charge move, they would be able to knock us out if they got a couple extra Dragon Tails through. So we're just going to go straight for the Air Release, knock them out hopefully here. Mandibuzz able to close out the backline there. GG's to our opponent. All right, next game, we're going to see Mandibuzz up against the Chestnut. Once again, I don't know what Chestnut's beating in this meta. Why are people using this? I'm not quite sure, but they're staying in this time, maybe hoping for a Snarl Mandibuzz, but we're not running Snarl. This is where Air Slash really comes in handy. Superpower or Thunder Punch will do a lot of damage. Looks like it's going to be a Superpower, and what do they come in with? A Shadow Drapion. Who would have guessed? Shadow Drapion. That's like every single game is going to be Shadow Drapion, I guess, in this cup. It makes sense. It's a very flexible pick, but it is going to get a little bit stale pretty quickly if that's all we're going to see. In comes their first charge move, likely going to be an Aqua Tail. They're probably going to get 2 off before we get to a single X-Scissor here. Actually, they let us throw first, which is kind of nice. I don't need switch advantage against that Chestnut, so I can just sack my Pawniard here and be kind of content with how this is playing out. They throw another charge move here. I can shield it up as well, though. I like this play just in case I think that I need switch still in the backline, or if I want to get both shields down from this thing. We do actually get this X-Scissor off, but it is on a catch with an Annihilate. Okay, ABA fighting type Pokemon right now. That is not a Pokemon I was expecting to see in the back with a Chestnut lead, but I guess we get to align our Mandibuzz against this, and we'll be able to use our Quillfish against that Chestnut later on. Aerial Ace will likely draw a shield from them, and now I'm in a tricky spot where I can try to call either a Rage Fist bait or either an Ice Punch or a Close Combat. I'm going to no shield because I know the worst matchup that could possibly happen here is if they end up baiting us with a Rage Fist, and then we're in such a bad spot. So the fact that we call that is going to be massive for us. They have to throw another move here before we get to ours, and now I know I outpaced this to an Aqua Tail with our Quillfish. Even though we take a lot of fast move pressure, we're not really in a range where we're going to get knocked out by anything. We throw actually on CMP there, and now we have a little bit of an energy lead. I know that even if that Chestnut makes a catch at some point, we're still going to be able to win this game because it's not going to be able to knock us out before we're able to farm them down. The Shadow Drapion does come in. So yeah, this is what I'm saying. If I try to throw the Aqua Tail and they make a catch, I'm totally fine with that. They are energy dry on that thing, so they do make the catch. But I can make a catch of my own, and it's going to be incredibly safe. They're dry on the Chestnut right now. I can do 5 more Poison Jabs and get the knockout either with the Poison Jab or just catch here with the move on our poor Pawniard. You're going to take a Superpower to the face, not what we want to see, but I can just go for the Poison Jab down, have the Aqua Tail loaded once again, and Quillfish, with its a very high attack stat here, should be able to win CMP against Shadow Drapion and take the match here. GG's to our opponent. Very, very interesting team, saying I've seen so many Air Slash Mandibuzz, I don't know what their game plan was there. All right, next game, Mandibuzz up against the Claydol. Okay, love to see it. Once again, need to keep switch advantage no matter what. If I don't, then we're in a bad spot. And we see a safe swap if a Shadow Gothitelle running Charm. Okay, things have just gotten interesting here. You can see how much fast move pressure they're doing against us. They can probably 2-shield through us if they really want to, but I don't know if that's what they're going to do. They actually end up no-shielding that Night Slash, which is really nice because I think that we were about to get fast move down if they invested both shields. Is that Claydol going to come back in here? I'd have to assume so. I would have to assume as well this is going to be a double charm team. Mudslap, double charm, about as toxic of a team as it gets in this meta. We get the X-Scissor off, which does actually do more damage than a single Night Slash, despite Night Slash being the same type as Pawniard. So make sure if you are in a situation like that, that you throw X-Scissor instead. And the final Pokemon, who would have guessed a Charmer? This time it's a Charmer that is actually a Fairy type, which means their Charms do even more damage. But now we have 2 Aqua Tails with our Quillfish. We can throw one here, one again if they end up shielding this, and we'll see what they want to do. Yeah, they just realized at that point, game over. Good thing about this team, it beats Double Charm. Love to see it. All right, Mandibuzz up against the Guzzlord. Bit of an awkward lead matchup if they do have an answer to our backline, so I probably have to bait something out at some point this game. We'll see how we want to play it out, though. They are overfarming a little bit here. We see MP actually on this air release. This could be a Sludge Bomb, actually. They built it up to 6. No, it's a Dragon Claw. That makes sense. I think Sludge Bomb doesn't really make a lot of sense in this meta. Most Guzzlords are probably running Dragon Claw and Brutal Swing, so we end up throwing the Aerial Ace, get them down to about half health here, make it a little bit more manageable for our Quillfish later on if we're locked in there, and they're throwing energy against our little Pawniard here. I know there's no move they can have that's more than resisted damage, but they do have Crunch, which, even though it's resisted, that puts us well below half health here. It does also put us into range where Aqua Tail will knock us out from this Shadow Drapion. So what are they going to do? They end up no-shielding, and now I'm kind of fine investing shields here, or they let us get this Night Slash. Since we got this Night Slash off first, maybe there's a chance we no-shield. Oh, but they shield that too. Okay, fantastic news. Maybe we still no-shield here, right? Okay, I don't know. I guess we shield up this move because it seems like they're weak to Pawniard, and now we can save our Pawniard, catch the move. Okay, I like that play. I see what I'm doing here. And this Aqua Tail not going to knock us out. We have a bit of energy, but they're not going to be able to get knocked out by an air release before they can get another Aqua Tail off, or they can come back in Guzzlord. Luckily, they come in Guzzlord here. We get the air release off, and it's not quite enough to knock out, but they're not at a Dragon Claw just yet because they dumped all of their energy into Pawniard with that Crunch, and now they come back in with their Shadow Drapion. What is their final Pokemon? I have no idea at this point. It could probably be another Poison type. It could be really anything, though. Coming back in Pawniard, I throw this move at the last second here before they get the Aqua Tail off, and now this Night Slash should knock out or draw the final shield. They end up no-shielding, and the final Pokemon is going to be a Shadow Sableye. Bit of a scary Pokemon to see, but I know that this X-Scissor is going to put them very low. If they no-shield this, that's probably my worst-case scenario. Luckily, though, they do shield it up, so now I can go back into Quillfish, try to land the Ice Beam here and knock them out. Shadow Sableye, despite the fact that it's very offensive, it also is very squishy, which means Ice Beam is probably going to be enough after these Poison Jabs to take them out here. Let's see if it will be enough, or if I'm going to do a bit more fast pressure to take them out here. Ice Beam, are you enough? I think it actually is. It's Shadow Sableye, yeah. Just barely enough to knock them out and to take the game there. Alright, well that was a fun set of battles here with Pawniard. A lot of play to be had with it in this meta, which is so crazy to say. One of the Pokemon that you probably would never think about on the face of it, but in a meta like this, it is a huge core breaker, and a lot of people were not ready for it today. Alright, well thank you so much for watching today's video. I'm going to upload a lot more to the channel, so if you want to see more videos like this, please make sure to subscribe. Alright, well thank you again for watching, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.